All right. Thanks so much, you all, for being here today for IMPLAN's product webinar. We're really excited to be presenting some updates that we have since the last time we did a webinar like this. We'll be presenting a couple things across, you can go ahead and go to the next slide, Daniel. For today's table of contents, we'll be going over, similar to last time, what's out now, what's coming next, and what might be coming later. Daniel and I, our senior product manager, and myself, Maria Lucas, the technical product manager, will go through these items, and Daniel will give you some idea of what these timelines look like in just a few minutes. The exciting thing here today is that some of the things that we presented as coming soon, coming later, are things that we're now presenting as out now. We'll end our session today with some Q&A. If you do have a question throughout our presentation, please click on the question mark in the control panel there, and you can type and send your question in to us. And we'll get to those questions, like I said, towards the end of the presentation. For future webinars, please check out our website. You can register for those and sign up for our newsletter. And for any questions that come up for you outside of today's presentation, please feel free to reach out to your CSM or your sales representative to ask those questions. And Daniel can run through those timelines.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. We will be looking at content on 3 different horizons today. We'll take a look at what's been delivered in the last 6 months. So this is all stuff that you'll see live in the platform today. And then we're going to take a look at the next column, which is what's planned in the next version or two. So that could be, Q1, Q2 of 2026. And then later, which will be ideas that we're still planning and workshopping, but stuff that we would expect to try to deliver around the back half of 2026. And some things to keep in mind about these timeframes is that they also drive our feature certainty. So as you see timeframes start to shift, you'll see certainty around those kind of firm up the closer you get to today. So the farther out that you look, things might be getting pushed back or changed in some way. Digging into what we actually see live in the platform so far for the past 6 months. So these are all, again, the features that Maria referenced just a second ago that in April were aspirational, but now are reality. So we're excited to recap some of what we've added to the platform over the past 2 quarters. We will go in depth on each of these, but for a quick overview, we'll look first at our guided experiences. So for those that aren't familiar, these are use case specific workflows that can help newer users and non-economists get started within IMPLAN. We've added a new input method for those with high quality data at the ready for the enterprise guide. Our tourism guide now has the ability to quantify residential spending impacts as well. The big star of the show today for guides is going to be, the 2 new guided workflows that allow users to look at forward-linked impacts. So that's a big addition for IMPLAN. These first 2 use cases allow users to model the change in the price of an individual commodity, as well as the effect of changes on industry production on downstream value chains. So Maria is going to tell us more about these exciting new guides in just a bit. Moving on to the core platform itself. This is how you'll hear us refer to our non-guided experiences. We'll take a look at a couple of highlights here. We've added a feature that will help users get groups and regions set up for multi-regional analyses with less time and effort. Sorry to all the folks that love clicking on counties individually. We've fixed a little bit of that. Our embeddable map output has been added to the core platform. So this was previously only in the enterprise guide. But you can now visualize impacts within your analysis outside of guided workflows across a geographic map that can even be embedded into your own website for marketing or other purposes. Continuing the theme of guided workflow functionality, kind of finding its way to broader applications, you'll see us beat that drum a lot today. We've also added our summary reporting page to the core platform. This is a quick, high-level, more visual overview of your analysis, and it's exportable in a graphical format as well. So for folks that need quick one-pagers, it's a great little feature. We'll take a look at how we've revamped the data library dashboards as well over the past 6 months. So data library's gotten a bit of a facelift as well. And Maria will wrap it up for us on data updates. So within the environmental impact results, we've added a table that reports emissions in scope 1, 2, and 3. In the IIA events, for those of you who have used those, there's now a toggle for keeping or turning off IMPLAN's commuting calculations. And within those detailed event types, we've also added a toggle to enter full-time employment or wage and salary income instead of the usual employment and income IMPLAN definitions. So just trying to keep the platform flexible and meet folks where they are. On the data side, we've added regional granularity to our Canadian data offering, and we've released our annual US data set as well. So we'll be excited to tell you about those here in a little bit. Starting off with those guided workflows and kind of what's new on that front. So first up, we have added a feature called bulk event mapping. So we'll kind of do this in a what is it and then why did we do it format. The what here is trying to meet up to one of our core product tenets here at IMPLAN, which is to meet users where they are data-wise. We've added an additional workflow to the enterprise guide that allows users to upload their data from an Excel file. And there's a few small formatting caveats to that as well. But you can basically upload that directly to IMPLAN and map that data to IMPLAN event data types directly within the platform. IMPLAN will also auto-resolve your NAICS codes to IMPLAN industries and resolve region information for those events based on a variety of data options. So you could have an address in your data, you could have a zip code in your data, maybe even just a state, and that's going to all basically get auto mapped to events with the appropriate regionality applied automatically for you. It's a really, really big time saver for folks that have pretty high quality data already available, but ultimately, still have the hurdle of getting that data into IMPLAN. So, again, we really strive to meet users where they are from a data perspective, and this is just another step in that direction for us. You will likely see this also come to the core platform once we kind of make additional tweaks and get feedback from its experience within the guided workflows, but we will chat about that here in a little bit. Next up, residential spending for tourism guide. So we're always looking to enhance the analysis fidelity for these guided experiences. And now users can quantify the impact of residential spending alongside the existing impacts from external regional visitors. So nothing changed about the rest of the tourism guide, but we're adding another impact category, which can carry through to the specialized reporting that all of our guided workflows have. And this specific one breaks these spending results out separately as is appropriate from an economic perspective. This feature also leverages the spending pattern that we've customized in order to represent residential spending. And it only requires a total spend amount or a head count to use. So real straightforward, pretty easy for folks, again, with varying levels of data that they're bringing to their analysis. This functionality is pretty similar to the study list tourism option that this guide also supports, as well as some of the segments within the university impact guide for those that might have used that previously. I will toss it over to Maria to tell us more about forward linkages and the guided experiences that we've added there.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, and y'all probably heard a lot about forward linkages here at IMPLAN lately, but to give you just a recap, what this really is looking at input-output modeling, but in the opposite direction of our traditional impacts. So traditionally, we looked at backward linkages for our analyses, and that is looking at how a specific targeted production demands inputs from other industries. So if we take corn as an example, we know corn farming is going to require some inputs like fertilizer, water, and seeds, and those things are going to require additional inputs upstream in that supply chain, things that are demanded from utilities and agriculture and so on. For forward linkages, we're going to flip that directionality. So in this case, we'd be looking at how corn is used as an input or supplied to other industries to make other products like ethanol, corn chips, and feed for agriculture. So that gives you a little bit of background. We're still working in an input-output framework, just looking in a different direction, but this opens up a lot of use cases. We developed two guides. So the first one I'll talk about is the price change cost push guide. So for this guide, we are estimating the cost changes to industries downstream as a result of a price change in a production input, assuming no change in quantity purchased. So if we think about that corn example we were just talking about, we would be able to look at a change in price of corn and see the resulting downstream effects to things like corn chip manufacturers and ethanol manufacturers. This guide can be leveraged for analyzing impacts of tariffs, other tax changes, climate change, and other other factors that can impact price. The other guide is our Downstream Industry Contribution Guide. It quantifies the downstream contribution of an industry, as its name suggests. Supply-driven contribution analysis is helpful for understanding the importance of industries that are early on in a supply chain. Those industries are making things that are processed into other important final products. So a good example of this, which is shown in the image of the report, and that screenshot that is produced by this downstream contribution guide, we have forestry there. Forestry activities do demand inputs and labor, so it does have some backward linkage impact if you were to run an impact on forestry in our traditional impact analyses. However, forestry products are supplied as an input to many industries, produce many important products that we use day to day, such as furniture, cardboard, paper, and other things that you might not think of right away, like syrup or rubber products. So these products are really important and contribute as inputs to other goods as well. So we get to see all those downstream contributions. We get to see things like jobs and GDP that are supported by that downstream contribution of an industry, in this case, forestry. So that really covers our guide updates, and we can move forward into some core feature updates.
Thank you so much, Maria. So moving again away from our guided experiences and into some of the stuff that you'll see available in the wider platform. First up, we have rest of region builder. So the what here is we've added a feature to the regions page that allows you to select counties or CDs in any state and automatically generate a combined rest of region for that state. And then if desired, you can also automatically add the rest of the US either as a combined region or as individual states to your analysis. So you can also work at the state level and just roll up the rest of the US in the same fashion if you're at that reporting altitude. But the same overall principle applies. So this is a big time saver for folks that want to look at impacts from an event in a smaller region, like a county or a CD, on the rest of a larger region, i.e., a state, for instance, or the rest of the US, even if you want to scale it up that high. Previously, this was 100% a manual process where if you wanted to look at, effects in 2 counties on the rest of a state, you have to go click on the other 250 counties in that state, for instance. Creating those combined regions was a big pain point for folks who were doing some of these larger MRAOs and wanting to look at, larger scaled effects. So this feature is going to let you create that regionality a lot faster, pivot your analysis more quickly. And we'll talk about how, some of this might pair with the additional visual reporting we're bringing to the core platform here in just a sec. So next up, if you attended our spring webinar, you saw this feature debuted in a forward-looking context, but again, it's now here live in the platform for core. We've brought the same geographic visual reporting from our enterprise guide to core analyses. So just like in the guided workflow, there's a couple of regionality hurdles that an analysis would have to clear in order to use this, mostly around regional overlap and stuff, so that we're not getting into scenarios where there might be double counting. But the end result is the same visual region-based breakdown for your analysis, and this is available for US, Canadian, and international data sets. You'll be able to see sub-state impact breakdowns by region. You could segment these results by tags that you may or may not have included in your analysis, and you can also manipulate the color and branding of the final output to your liking. So again, this is really meant to serve folks who are working in a marketing or communication setting, and the embeddable nature of this interactive map is really well suited to those uses, we think. So exciting to get this out into the main platform where folks with projects that are a little more in depth can make use of it. And again, you can kind of see how the rest of region builder can tie nicely into another feature like this, where if you want to build those larger scale analyses, but are looking for help putting the regionality together, it just segues nicely into a reporting outcome like this. So exciting to get more steps in the direction of spreading our functionality from guided workflows into the core platform itself. And that train doesn't really stop, because we're bringing another feature out from guides that we got good traction on into the core platform. This is a high-level reporting view, again, available for all our data sets, so US, Canadian, and international. If you've used this view in guides, or sorry, I should say, if you've leveraged guides at all, you've seen this view. The core piece of this has the same overall feature set with a couple of nice additions. So you get all of the easy to digest kind of visual highlights and quick look at the 5 main key economic indicators, as well as some comparative visualizations for effect type for all 5 of those. And this is also exportable. So you can pull this out of the platform pretty quickly and easily. And again, this is really serving folks who are looking for one-pagers or maybe just trying to parse their analysis, a little bit less in depth than some of the full reporting pages that we offer. Moving along to the data library work that we've had going on over the past 6 months. So for folks that may not be either subscribed or aware, data library makes it easy to see, search, and visualize the economic data set that underpins the IMPLAN impact modeling. This is available, or I should say it's included on all of our US national packages, but can be added to other packages if you'd like. Be sure to reach out to customer success or support at implan.com if you'd like to add this to your subscription. We've been working pretty hard on this platform in a couple of phased approaches. Earlier in the year, we revamped the entry page for Data Library to give folks a better understanding of what's inside and to help people navigate it more effectively. And we're now giving the individual dashboard pages the same treatment. So we've reworked the filter ordering within each page to help people focus on the filters that they really need to use within each dashboard in order to get relevant data. And we've kind of deprioritized or reorganized ones that are either defaulted or generally not as important to focus on, so that folks can keep their cognitive load lower whenever we can. Each filter now has a mouse over with a quick explanation of what the field is and does. And there's also a drawer up at the top of the page that users can access that gives you a full how-to work through on that dashboard itself. So you will see, this is a pre-production screen grab, but you'll see that it basically has a full run through on what each piece of the dashboard does and how to use it. We love keeping support context like this within the platform whenever we can. And ultimately, we think that's the best way to serve users, when they're struggling within the platform. Data Library is an amazing tool, has a wealth of information in it, but we recognize that sometimes, especially for newer users, the barrier to entry and the level of trial and error for them to use it was a little high, and so we're really trying to make inroads against that with some of these efforts. So I'll toss it back over to Maria to tell us about the rest of our core feature updates as well as our data updates.
Absolutely. So for our Scope 1, 2, and 3 emission reporting, we present information about CO2 equivalent. We've traditionally, well, I say traditionally, we haven't had this for too long, but we have these CO2 equivalents reported as direct, indirect, and induced impacts, same way we do impact reporting. The latest development here that we're excited to announce is that Scope 1, 2, and 3 categorization that is now available. This is really helpful and important because scope-based emission reporting is recognized and required by a lot of emerging global mandates. So we felt this was a timely addition to recategorize those CO2 equivalent emissions into Scope 1, 2, and 3, which gives us that breakdown of direct emissions via business versus Scope 2, which is our indirect emissions from purchasing energy, and Scope 3 as the supply chain indirect impacts outside of those Scope 2 emissions. So we'll continue to iterate on this to stay aligned with policies. And the next one here is commuting rate settings and industry impact analyses. Employee compensation is assumed to include income earned by employees that live within a region versus those who live outside the region based on a regional commuting rate. We refer to that regional commuting rate as SAM here in the toggle you see in the screenshot, and that is our default setting. That regional commuting rate is based on our underlying data and has been added in our region details if you'd like to see what percentage of income we do assume to be earned by employees that live outside of a region. The EC commute rate toggle has been added here in the IIA event so that you can select the non-default option and set this to 100% local. This is going to treat your direct employee compensation as 100% local instead of using the model's underlying commuting rate. In this scenario, the employee compensation in the event should only include employee earnings that are earned by those local employees. The non-local employees' income can be analyzed in the region where they live. So this allows you to target just the information you have about local employees, or make this toggle if you do know all your employees are local to the region. We actually did not stop there, as Daniel mentioned earlier, with adding these highly demanded functionality to our most detailed event type. Inside this IIA event, we now also have a toggle for employment and income types. So instead of your usual wage and salary employment, you now have the option to choose full-time equivalent employment and enter FTEs instead of wage and salary employment. Similarly, employee compensation can be entered per usual, or you can toggle to wage and salary income and enter the appropriate figure there. This is going to do the math for you so that you don't have to do anything outside of IMPLAN to enter your employment and income figures. Once you get into the results, you'll now see a breakout of employment by type with options to view those FTE employees. So that we have all this breakdown in the results, as well as the ability to enter them in as inputs. That takes us through our core updates, and we'll move into some data updates. You've been hearing a lot about our data updates as well. We're excited that we now have additional granularity with our Canadian data offering. The granularity there takes our 13 territories and provinces and breaks them down into 76 economic regions. These economic regions are grouping of census divisions that are created as standard geographic units for analysis of regional economic activity. So you can see some examples of how those new borders have been broken out on our IMPLAN Canada map. So please, like I mentioned earlier, we have our webinars on our website, so you can definitely learn more about this data offering from the recent webinar. Additionally, on the data front, we have our US data for our annual data release now out. Our 2024 data is out and has the same level of quality as our prior years, as our IMPLAN data team use robust data and powerful harmonization tools to deliver high quality core data in record time while navigating the changes in federal data availability. So you'll see that is now your default US data set, as it is our most recent release. Right, that's everything on the data updates that are now out, and we can move into our next section.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. So taking a look again, at stuff that is now forward-looking, because we wrapped the section where we're talking about things that have been released. Everything you've just seen is live in the platform, and we welcome your feedback as always. Moving into stuff that we think we're going to be looking to ship here in the next quarter or two. A quick overview before we dig into the in-depth slides. So we will take a look at a way where you can compare analysis outcomes within IMPLAN. Customized automated reporting functionality that might be coming through and available in the core platform. Enhancements to the Congressional District region list UI. Event sorting within the impacts page. Canadian data expansions, as well as US foreign trade granularity. So plenty of exciting stuff coming up here in kind of the next 6 months or so. Looking at the first on the list, a response to a long-time user ask. So project comparison. We're adding a way for users to compare any two analyses at a high level right from the projects page. So you'll be able to select two projects from your project library and click compare and get greeted with a screen like this. So users can see how each analysis stacks up over each of the 5 key economic indicators with specific callouts for large variances that show up between each analysis. You will get to see the top 5 industries by impact, which can also be broken down by impact type, so direct, indirect, and induced. This is a recurring ask, so people often have IMPLAN in 2 different windows, kind of trying to do similar stuff like this for use cases like site selection, where you might be modeling the same event in different regions and wanting to see how the outcomes might differ, or competitive analyses, where you have the same region looking to entertain different types of events to see what those outcome differences are. This is just a streamlined way where we're trying to minimize the amount of hoops you have to jump through in order to get to insights like that. And stay tuned on this feature. We're looking to add a similar geographic visualization to the embeddable map that we have to this feature as well. So this is going to have a geographic visual reporting component as well here at some point soon. Moving right along to analysis summary. So we are currently in pretty in-depth testing for an AI-powered summary feature to add to our standard analysis results. So this feature would allow you to construct a text-based summary of your analysis tailored to the audience you need to communicate with just by asking for it. So you'll be able to ask the model to customize a report to suit your needs, including graphic visualization down the road. And it's worth noting that the AI and LLM system that's used to power this feature does not touch the calculation side of IMPLAN in any way. This is simply an additional reporting layer that we're adding. So all your results are still the trusted, valid IMPLAN outputs that you know and love. We're just trying to add additional reporting flexibility for you here on the front end. I think anybody that's worked with IMPLAN long enough, and especially for newer folks or folks kind of picking it up for the first time or the first time in a while, might agree that the communicating those impact results can be one of the hardest parts of economic analysis. It's difficult to find ways to portray the numbers to the right audience, or just having the time to actually compile all of it. We're seeing more and more opportunities for emerging LLM and AI functionality to help reduce some of those burdens. And we're going to continue to do so, but in a safe and measured way with all the relevant security measures in place. Maria is going to finish up our next category with Congressional District selection.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, we can. We'll be able to see the ability to pick between congressional districts by Congress in our release later on this year. So for some data years, IMPLAN releases multiple versions of congressional districts to follow the redistricting defined by the respective Congress. Each Congress that applies to a given data year will be listed in the region type dropdown, as you see here. So here we have data year 2023 selected. We've clicked into California and chosen the dropdown. And you can see Congress, you see the congressional districts for 118 and for 119. And when you pick one of those, you'll see just the congressional districts that apply to that Congress. So this will make it a lot easier to select all the congressional districts in a state, like the example I've done here, selecting all of the 118th congressional districts. This is helpful if you're doing a statewide study, but at a congressional district level, you want to see how all of those link together. Like I said, this screenshot is taken from our beta environment, so not quite available yet, but coming soon. Same goes for this one. We'll have events sorting on impacts page coming soon. That will include the sortability based on title, type, specification, and value. And so here you'll get to be able to organize your events based on any one of those factors. You can see the sort function up there on the right-hand side of the screenshot is how you can turn this on. And then the blue arrow you see next to title is how you could switch the ascending or descending sort on the given component or property that you're sorting on. Additionally, we'll have some Canadian data expansions coming throughout 2026. We'll have in the first half of the year, we'll be launching occupational data for Canadian data, which recently became available on the sub-provincial level, as I just reviewed. Our future data releases for Canada will have this new granularity. So we're looking forward to releasing the 2022 Canadian data that does go all the way down to that economic region level early on in the new year. With the 2022 release, there's going to be some additional tax categories or tax precision with a new tax category for taxes on products. And this is going to make sure that we're appropriately mapping all of our tax payments based on these different industries, since for Canada, we have that taxes on products industry. So we want to funnel those taxes appropriately. We'll also plan to carry the scope 1, 2, and 3 results table over into the Canadian results reporting. So we have that available there as well. All right, and then the last item we want to cover as a Another thing that's going to be coming next as we work through the first couple quarters of the year is we'll have U.S. trading partner data that gives us more detail. This is going to take our U.S. foreign trade data and break it down by country as well as commodity that is already available. This data is going to help better understand the dependencies and the potential implications of foreign trade policies. So this will help researchers interested in diving into this data, and we'll look at how we can leverage this data from an impact perspective. That's everything on our Coming Next, and we can move into our later section.
Awesome. Thanks, Maria. So again, we're moving away from Q1, Q2 2026 and moving into kind of later 2026 and beyond with some of what we'll talk about here. We always love teasing some of the longer lead time items that are maybe a little bit more aspirational, so that we can get feedback. We love to hear from y'all at support at IMPLAN.com, so please don't hesitate to reach out. We really, really, truly do strive to be an organization that's plugged into the needs of its user base. So do not hesitate to reach out. In that spirit, we'll take a look at a few more items that we have on the docket for later in the year. You'll see us continue to develop features within our guided workflows and kind of bring them to the wider platform once they've had a little bit of feedback, with bulk event mapping being a great example. We're going to try to get that input methodology rolled out to core here without too much more ado. Guides at large will also be looking to get a revamp. So one of the current limitations of that ecosystem is that most of the workflows are set up for single runs, and it doesn't really lend itself well to easy editability. Once you've run it, it's kind of fixed. And if you want to run, if you want to try to change something, you need to really run it again. Our roadmap for 2026 will see improvements for that. Likely with some sort of custom dashboard for guides, the ability to edit guided projects, and possibly even guides themselves as a standalone sales offering. So if you need a smaller chunk of IMPLAN, for instance, that might be an option, but that's tentative. We shall see. And last on my docket, we're going to continue probing the AI and LLM space by offering a plain text query-based interface for data libraries. So similar to how you would, ask IMPLAN to tailor your analysis summary report for you, we think there's likely a way in which we can create an interface for data library where instead of manipulating filters and going through views and looks, you can simply ask for, employment data for the year 2024 in North Carolina, for instance. This wouldn't change the underlying data within data library in any way. And again, we're not looking to change the way that we produce or leverage that data, simply to just give users another way to access it. We've had some pretty promising testing going on over the past couple of months, and we're looking forward to continuing to push towards offering a solution for this later in 2026. Over to Maria to round us out on this list.
Absolutely, Daniel. I'll take us through the last three items that we'll be exploring later in 2026. So building a scope emission guide is going to enable users to provide what they know about their facility's operations that impact their emissions level. So our scope emissions guide is going to build upon that categorization I spoke to earlier to kind of bring in more customizations from our users. We'll also be looking to bring our emissions reporting into more complete alignment with the greenhouse gas protocol, so that our emissions reporting does meet standards for emission reporting mandates, most notably California's SB 253 law that mandates companies that do business in California that make over $1 billion in annual revenue to report their scope 1 and 2 emissions in 2026, with the addition of scope 3 in 2027. So again, continuing those timely updates to our functionality on reporting scope-based emissions. Forward linkage capabilities are expected to become available for our international and IMPLAN Canada offerings. So one expansion we'll be exploring there. We'll also be looking at expanding the flexibility and functionality of forward linkages in IMPLAN, because this is crucial to make the feature and the regional expansion most valuable. So we'll be looking to incorporate the ability to link regions and multi-regional input-output analysis so that you can see impacts from trade involved downstream. So in addition to that regionality, we want to be able to link those regions and conduct MRIO analyses there. We'll also explore making forward linkage impacts accessible via our core app, so outside of our guides, as well as consider additional use cases that would be suitable within a guided approach. This exploration is likely to result in some exciting new reporting formats, but still, as Daniel mentioned, this later category has a lot more fluidity and possibility for changes. So really excited to continue to hear feedback from you all as you continue to dive into the forward linkage guides. Finally, with event sorting functionality coming soon, we'll be eager to hear feedback from you on that. We hope to better understand how to best meet your needs on sorting groups. We're hoping that the addition of the event sorting is going to greatly improve your experience when building your impacts, but we look to continue to expand that user experience and continue to improve there. All right, so that takes us through our content for today. As always, we love to connect with you all, so please reach out to your CSM, your salesperson, if you have any questions and want to connect in the future. And please explore the webinars we have available on our website, where you can register for those, register for future webinars, or even go back and watch previous ones that we've referenced today, as well as register for our newsletter. We've got some questions already coming in the queue that we can dive into. And if you have any questions still burning that you have not chatted in, please go ahead and send those in. One easy one that I'll go ahead and hit for somebody who chatted in saying that they're a new user, we made a reference to events a lot, and that terminology can be confusing from, a traditional, oh, some event is happening, some occurrence. By events in a technical term in the IMPLAN platform, we're referring to essentially line items of inputs for your analyses. We have many different event types depending on the type of data that you have, but a great resource to learn more about the event types in IMPLAN is to visit us at support.implan.com, where you can get an example of why you would use every event type and get a breakdown of what the model is doing with that event. We've got a couple questions about the content we went over here. One was about the commuting modifications. The question is whether we'll eventually have the ability to enter in a commuting rate that's something other than 100% or the default rate if you have specific information about your project. We've heard this request a couple of times, so it is something that we will explore the feasibility of that. And see how we would want to make edits essentially to the commuting between regions. But with the additional feedback coming in, I imagine that's something we'll explore but have not officially put on our roadmap. So please continue to come to these webinars and hear what we've got going on there, but really appreciate you putting in that feedback or asking that question. That kind of gives us a sense that that's something you're interested in. The next question here, I'll toss to you, Daniel, if you don't mind. The question here is, when will the update to build rest of region feature be available? They note that currently this version that we're working with today, it works if your initial region is just one single geography. You cannot use the rest of region option if your initial region includes multiple counties.
Yeah, I saw that. Catherine, reach out to us via support. I just tried this. I just tested this in prod because that's not the intended functionality, and it worked for me. So I'd love to hear from you, and would be happy to dig into the situation you might be encountering.
Yeah, absolutely. A recent comment that I've heard similar to that, Daniel, that you maybe run into, Catherine, is if the counties are in multiple different states. I think that may be the only limitation there. And I know I've recently heard about that.
And if that's the case, you may you can't right now. It can't span two different states. So if you were doing a county in South Carolina and a county in North Carolina, and then you wanted a rest of region that is the rest of both of those, again, let's chat via support, because if that is a use case that you're encountering often, I'd love to build in a way to support it, because that was not the original intent. Right now, it'll do multiple counties within a single parent region. But if that is not meeting your needs, reach out and let's chat so that we can make that better work for you.
Great. One new question we got in from Jared was confirming that we do have FTEs now available as like an automatic calculation or impacts. Yes, that is correct. You did hear that correctly. You can now click the FTE toggle, it's a tiny little button next to employment, specifically on our industry impact analysis events. So it won't be available on all our event types, but that detailed, broken out IIA event will have that toggle for you. That's all the questions I see in the queue. We got back to one person privately on forward linkage papers. I should have sent that to everybody, but it's a very quick support.implan.com I just mentioned, and type forward linkages, and you will see all the resources we have on that. And implan.com is where you can go to find those previously conducted webinars on forward linkages, as well as topics like the Canadian sub-provincial data, where we've introduced economic regions. We're at time here, and I don't see any other questions. Thank you all so much for being here today. We love going through our updates and giving you a chance to give us your feedback and try to stimulate some possibilities for you to think on and send us in as you work and conduct your studies. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.